Hello everyone. I have prepared this video as a revision of conditional sentences type 1 that I explained in our last video meet in case you need to go over the explanations or for the people who missed our meeting. Let's start with this example taken from a statement by Greta Thunberg. If we recycle, we will produce less trash. As all conditional sentences, this is expressing a condition, and that is why in most of the cases we start the sentence with the word if. You will also notice that the verb tense is in the present simple, and in the second clause we use the simple future. Let's have a look at this same sentence with a little bit more detail. If we recycle, we will produce less trash. As you can see, conditional sentences generally are used to talk about a result of something that may happen only if a condition happens first. And you see that there is a comma in the middle, and this divides the sentence into two. These two parts are called clauses. The first one, if we recycle, is called the dependent clause, the if clause. And the second part, we will produce less trash, it's the result clause or the independent clause. Why do we say this? Well, if you omit the first part and we just say we will produce less trash, you can see that this sentence has a meaning in its own. It makes sense. It's no longer a conditional, but it's a proper sentence with its subject and its verb. Whereas, if you just say, if we recycle, that would be an incomplete concept. That is why it's dependent. It depends on the other part of the sentence to have its own meaning. Now, possible future events and their likely results are the typical use of the first conditional. It's used to express things that might happen in the future, that they are very likely to happen in the future. Predictions, superstitions, future plans, warnings and threats, offers, for example, if you help me, I will do your homework. Yes, that's an offer. Suggestions. And this is a structure, as I mentioned. You are going to generally use the word if plus the simple present in the first clause, and the subject with the future simple in the second clause. Here you have more examples. If you find a four-leaf clover, is this little plant that has generally 3 leaves. Well, if you find one that has 4, you will have good luck. Plants will not grow if there is no water. In this case, I have changed the order, and instead of starting with if, I am starting with the second clause. Other alternatives are using the present continuous. If you're traveling to the Caribbean, you'll need a swimsuit, probably a sunblock as well. Now, if I want to make my sentence a little bit less probable, I might change the verb. Instead of using, if we make a drastic change, we will stop global warming. That would be the typical first conditional. But I don't want, if I say we will stop it, it's that I am sure we will stop it. And I don't know if that will happen. We might stop global warming. I am saying, well, we might have a chance. Yes, it's less probable. We could stop. Yes, there's a possibility, but I'm not sure if this will actually happen. So I can change, and instead of using the will, I can use can, may, should. So let's have a look at this example. If we continue to act this way, there will be no planet left for future generations. Greta, again, very apocalyptic. You can see the if, as in most conditional sentences, the tense in the simple present, and the tense of the second clause in the simple future. 2 more examples. If I water my plant, it will grow. My plant will grow if I water it. What's different? You see that the first sentence has a comma which divides it into two clauses. And it's the typical conditional starting with if. Simple present, simple future. The second one, on the other hand, it's inverted. My plant will grow if I water it. When I don't start with the if and I invert my clauses, I do not need the comma. Here is a good example of what I mean when I say that you can use other words instead of if. Unless expresses a condition. Unless I water my plant, it won't grow. Yes? Now, unless is a word that carries a negative meaning. The plant won't grow unless I water it. Yes? That means if I don't do something, okay? If I don't do this. So generally, unless is followed by an affirmative tense. You see that I have unless, which means if I don't, it's our okay. Unless I water. Water is in the affirmative. Then you have the comma, because you're starting with unless, which is like starting with if I don't, it won't grow. And on the second example, you have again the same sentence but inverted. The plant won't grow unless I water it. And you don't need a comma. So when you invert, you don't need the comma. And the meaning of unless, which is if I don't. One last time. If I water my plant, comma, it will grow. If I do this, on this condition, this will happen. These are my two clauses divided by a comma. The first clause is expressing my condition. If I do something, if somebody does something, if this happens, now you will see that if somebody does something has the S in the main verb, because this is simple present and we're using a third person. If he, she, it, or somebody, someone, yes, all of these take the S in the third person for the verb. It will grow. This will happen. This is a relationship of cause and consequence, as in most first conditional sentences. Well, I hope this has been clear. Go to the links where you will find the live worksheets to work on, and once you finish, you click email the teacher. I hope you have no problems. If not, you send me a chat.